have Angel Cosme. Angel, how are you doing today? Good seeing you again. And again, he jumped into the race running for Ward 2 candidate. And Angel, now you are a resident of Brockton and you are a teacher in the school system, correct?
That's correct.
At the high school.
That's correct.
Okay. What made you jump into the race?
Great question. So you're right in saying that I am a teacher, although at this moment I'm not exactly sure what position I will be going back into the fall. And the reason for that is I was one of over 140 teachers that got laid off due to the budget crisis here in Brockton that is a revolving cycle. And so I had the summer off. I was laid off thinking about the teachers and the educational crisis and wanting to do something about it. I've always been active in the community. Given that I had the summer off, I made the commitment that I was going to have a say in the direction of the city, not just with education, but with the injustices, the inequalities, the opportunities or lack thereof that exist. I wanted to play a role. Now, when I made that decision, I basically asked my son if he would support me running. My son has been mobilizing and organizing with me for years, ever since he was a little kid, and I definitely needed his permission to do this because it was gonna take a lot of time. Also asked my girlfriend, got those blessings, and made the decision. Now, the very next day after I made that decision, I got called back by the district to get my position as a teacher back. Again, unspecified position, but hopefully the same position that I had before. So now I had to make a decision whether or not I still run and become a teacher. And the answer to that was that that's what I'm going for. I'm going to run for Ward 2 City Councilor. And if I am the successful candidate, I will also remain as a teacher, although I won't be able to get paid by the city for both salaries. I will just, ideally keep my teacher salary. And do the council, after my full-time work in the schools.
Now, what do you feel are some of the big issues in Ward 2, since you're planning, though your vote will affect the whole city? What do you think in Ward 2 that's missing that we need new leadership?
Ward 2 is in the middle of Brockton. It's one of the most diverse wards that we have, if not the most diverse ward. I'm going to tell you what I think is a big issue in Ward 2, but before I do that, I also want to let the listeners know that part of my campaign is going to be to listen to the needs of the residents and then to try to accommodate, try to propose solutions to those issues. But one thing that everybody knows that we have an issue with is a couple of things: substance abuse, and the issue of homelessness, specifically in Ward 2. That is an issue that we have that we need a solution to. I'm bothered constantly by the references to the souls, these human beings, being referenced as marks to the aesthetics of the city. In other words, when you drive down Main Street, people make references of the people that are hanging out. And what we need to do is provide these individuals with services. These individuals need treatment and access to resources. So that is a big issue. I don't know what the actual solution to that is. It's a complex issue, but we need everybody involved, and we need more compassion to address this issue. It's something that I'm not seeing too much of right now.
Now, have you looked at any other places that may have been succeeding in bringing down the use of drugs, or other countries? I read, because when I was reading, I think it was Spain, that decriminalized it, went for rehabilitation or substance use rehabilitation, didn't decriminalize it, and it turned out, and they did this, I think, 10 years ago, so there's a good thing where the arrest went down, the money went out of it, because that's a big thing, the money on drugs, and the harder it is to get, or more criminalized, it becomes more expensive. The money went out of it, so no one was really selling it, and drug use did go down, and many people who were addicted to drug went for rehabilitation, and they found not only are they saving themselves money, they're finding that actual drug use is going down. Is there any ideas that you have that we can do that, not just as a city, not just as a ward, but, because, again, you mentioned that it's not a Ward 2 problem, it's a city problem, state problem, country problem. Any ideas that you have that maybe we could be innovative in to start and bring down the war on drugs, so to speak?
Yeah, well, definitely, there's mass incarceration is very real, and as you're speaking that, I think about the many individuals who are behind bars now for example, marijuana possession, and we have now a legal situation here where marijuana use for adults who are over 21 is now legal, yet we are imprisoning individuals who have previous offenses, and then there's opportunities for people to make millions of dollars off the legal sale of marijuana. So that's something that we need to address, the decriminalization of something that we've made legal, because it's contributing to mass incarceration, and really the majority of the individuals in the prisons is related to substance abuse. And so what people need, again, is treatment. We really need to look at substance abuse as a medical condition, just like diabetes. It's not just a simple stop using solution. The individual needs to get social services involved. They need financial supports. They need emotional supports and occupational. I mean, it's so extreme in how it affects the individual. So we need to really provide multifaceted services to the individuals. Do I have examples of other countries? I've seen other countries and what they've done with decriminalizing drug use. Would something like that work here? I question that, because I'm a father. I have a son who's 15 years old, and if we start to sort of paint the picture that decriminalizing drug use is sort of the way to go, and we don't do it carefully, then our children are going to think that it's okay to use. So it's a fine line. We really need to come together and really address the soul of the individual, not just the problem that they're causing or the deviance that they're resulting in.
I think the issue, as I say decriminalizing it, I think the idea is it wasn't that it's legal. It's just more, you're not going to be sent to jail. You're not going to be put into that system. You're going to go for rehabilitation. I think the issue why it went down is also because if there's no money in it, no one's going to sell it. I think that's more. I don't think, as I mentioned, decriminalization, I don't think they made it legal. It's just non-felony. Yeah,
Ed, I'll give you another thought. I think of the drug court. A couple of years ago, Brockton advocated for a drug court. We worked together with the mayoral administration at the time. We had a delegation of treatment providers, business owners, clergy, community organizations, and we went to Boston several times, spoke with the Chief Justice and the individuals who run the drug courts there, and made a case of why Brockton should have a drug court. And the idea around that is, instead of incarcerating individuals for low-level drug offenses, that they would get treatment. And so that's something that we did, that we were successful in here in Brockton. But we need to create more similar approaches to really, like you said, sort of get at the issue of the substance abuse and not necessarily contribute to this tendency to just throw people in jail and not give them the help that they need. We're doing that far too often now.
Now, one of the things that you'll, if you're sitting up in the city council, is you decide the budget that goes to the school department, and you are a teacher. I think, isn't it, like 60% of the city budget goes to the school department? Do I get that right?
It's a high percentage. I'm not exactly sure what it is.
But there is only so much of the pie that can be used. How are you going to be able to work, and what are some of the ideas that you have that we could give to our school department and the students, which is the main thing to do, without taking away from other areas of the city or even taking away from other areas of the school department?
Yeah, definitely. I think we need a long-term solution. So one of the things that I think about that's coming up next year, I believe, on the ballot is the Fair Share Amendment. And the Fair Share Amendment would, regardless of how individuals may feel about it, it'll tax the incomes of individuals who make over $1 million, and then allocate that amount of money, that revenue, to the tune of $2.5 billion roughly, or over $2 billion, and specifically allocate that money for education and infrastructure. That's a long-term solution that'll trickle down to the districts like Brockton. We're not there yet. And so what we need is a change in the state's formula. And I've heard the formula explained many times and by many different people. And it is a very complex thing to understand. It is not simply right to blame the mayor or to blame the superintendent or to blame the school committee or the city council. I think we need to form a delegation, to form a collaboration and advocate at the state level. It's happening every single year. I've been teaching for 5 years. Because I don't have the 5 years in Brockton High School, I was one of the newest teachers to be let go. And, you know, I must say I'm thrilled that I got my job back. I love teaching, but there's dozens of other teachers who didn't get called back. And we need to do something for those individuals. And it starts at advocating for the fair funding formula that represents the low-income students, the special education needs of our students, and the bilingual needs of our students to properly fund at a level that's equitable to other districts like Brockton.
Okay, and you're listening to Stand Up Strong with Ed and Chuck. We're going to take a quick break right now. We have Angel Cosme on, who is running for Ward 2 City Council. We're going to be right back after these commercial breaks. If you have a quick question, just give us a call at 508-822-1106. Again, you listen to Stand Up Strong with Ed and Chuck.
Hi, this is Chuck.
And this is Ed from Stand Up Strong.
Listen to us every Saturday at 3 o'clock on 1530 WVBF, where you can learn about
Events in Brockton and the South Shore.
listen while you're grilling up something for dinner or lounging by the pool.
Hey, send me your telephone number and I'll give you a call. Hey, what are friends for, you know?
Catch us every Saturday at 3 p.m. That's daylight savings time for all you who don't know. Only on WVBF 1530.
Considering building a new home, adding an addition, or renovating your existing house? BTA Building and Remodeling of Abington can save you time, money, and frustration. BTA is a team of highly skilled professionals who understand just how important your project is to you. From site-built homes, custom modular homes, to in-law suites and additions, they'll treat your project with the time and effort it takes to do the job right. Before you choose a builder, you owe it to yourself to visit btadevelopment.com and learn more.
Check it out, it's the Terminator. Hey, when'd you get back, huh?
Did you have to shoot anyone?
Why are you so distant? Are you not happy to see me?
So what's the deal? You gonna get a job now or what?
Why are you being so jumpy? Put all that stuff behind you, okay?
No one knows what it's like to come back from Iraq or Afghanistan unless they were there. Join other veterans at communityofveterans.org because we know where you're coming from. Brought to you by Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America and the Ad Council.
Do you have cast iron furniture, metal fences, or custom-made aluminum furniture that is still usable but needs a little TLC and extra care? Then you need someone with a great reputation in over 32 years in the welding business. You need All Weather Welding Company. Based out of Southeastern, Peter Michelson of All Weather Welding Company has the know-how and has worked on projects such as the Pavilion in Boston, the Dunkin' Donuts Warehouse, the Food Service Cisco, the Xfinity Performing Arts Center, as well as local businesses and homes throughout the South Shore. They specialize in rims, chairs, custom-made aluminum furniture, metal gates, window grates, and so much more. All Weather Welding Company is the only certified portable welding service that is advertised in this area. No job is too small, and all his work is guaranteed. If you think it's broken, call All Weather Welding Company at 508-238-8595. That's 508-238-8595. Mention this ad and receive a free welding rod.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared. It's kind of like an elephant is on my chest. I feel like I'm choking. Sometimes my parents have to take me to the hospital.
You know how to react to their asthma attacks. Here's how to prevent them. Call 1-866-NO-ATTACKS. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor, because even one attack is one too many.
I feel like a fish with no water.
Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Jim Larkin. Hope you can join me every Sunday from noon to 2 o'clock here on WVBF, the Sounds of the Emerald Isle. We'll have some great Irish music, some folk, traditional, country, and contemporary, and sometimes some live singers in the studio. And to make you laugh, some Irish comedy. That's Sundays from noon to 2 right here on WVBF, 1530 Taunton, Middleborough, and on the internet at hometowntalkradio.com.
1530 WVBF Talk Radio.
Okay, we're back. You're listening to Stand Up Strong with Ed and Chuck. And today, right now, we have Angel Cosme here, who is running for Ward 2 Council. If you have any questions, just give us a call at 508-822-1106. And Angel, thank you for coming down. And
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for letting us know why you're running. But what are some of the things that you have in your past that you want to let the people know that this is the reason that makes you a good candidate and a good counselor that you've done for the not just the city of Brockton, but whatever community you lived in?
Okay. Sure. I'll give a brief background. I'm Puerto Rican, born in New York City in 1976. So that means I'm 41, about to be 41 soon. And I grew up. I left New York City when I was about 4 years old and moved to Rhode Island, Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and we lived in the housing projects there. And as a young man, you know, you see things in the projects and you're exposed to things. And so even though sort of the environment was rough, I have an extremely loving family, supportive parents who have been married for over 50 years. My father just turned 73 yesterday. Happy birthday, Dad. And so we were raised with a lot of love, right? But situations in those kind of environments, if you don't have, strong will, if you don't have a multifaceted support system, then you can easily get caught up. So I got into some trouble, and my family decided to move me over to Boston, and I was part of a teen ministry at the time. When I was 16, I moved to Boston, and I will say that sort of that spiritual foundation that I received as a young person, even though I haven't practiced it throughout the years, it buffers the work that I do right now. I am all about alleviating pain and suffering in the world. I'm all about social justice and equality, regardless of your race, ethnicity, your class, your gender, and I mean that sincerely. I took a class in college that was called Race, Class, and Gender, and the professor was talking about indifference, and at the time, I was sort of just accepting whatever the situations were around me. I wasn't active. I wasn't an organizer. I wasn't an activist. I was just sort of, living my life selfishly. And that challenged me. And I made the decision at the time that I'm going to go back to college. I dropped out of college when I was, I think I was 19. And then I went back 11 years later. So I graduated college, not even 10 years ago. It was 2012 with my bachelor's degree. I went into a master's teaching program called Teach Next Year, and I got my master's in education in 1 year and my special education license. But what I'm saying is, it's my upbringing, my challenges as a youth, the spirituality foundation that I had, and then in life I grew up. I bought a home. I had a son who's now going to be 15 years old. I got married at the time. I bought a home here in Brockton. I went back to college. So all of those things sort of started creating this strong desire to get involved in my community. And I've been active for the past 6 or 7 years. in many different forums. I actually worked as a community organizer for 1 year, took a year off from teaching and went into organizing with Brockton Interfaith Community, addressing educational issues, criminal justice issues, immigrant rights, economic dignity, the drug court, fighting the casino. I don't agree that a casino, regardless of what your opinion is, it wasn't right for Brockton. So I was very vocal about that. And so if you know me, if you are a friend of mine, you've seen what I've done. I'm not just doing this now. I've been active. I've been an activist for a very long time. But to me, again, it's all about alleviating pain and suffering. It's about creating a society, a community for my son that is safe, and for our children that is safe, where we value education, where we value diversity. Brockton is extremely diverse. We need to capitalize on that. We've never had a Latino elected official, and I have to say that it's not just about winning a race, but it's 2017 and we haven't had a Latino elected. It's time for us to really embrace the diversity that is in Brockton. We need white people in elected positions. We need Haitian Americans, Cape Verdeans, blacks. We need everyone that is representative of Brockton to take a stand. And I feel compelled to act. I feel compelled to serve, and I know that I'm going to work hard. I know that that I'm going to work relentlessly to advocate for the needs of the individuals in my ward.
Now,
long answer, Ed. Sorry.
No. These are why we have long interviews. A lot of people wonder, because if you listen to other shows, they give them 10 minutes. You're not going to learn anything on someone in 10 minutes, and we need that, and that's just why I like to have people here for a good half hour, if not longer. Especially, you're electing people to run if it's the city, the state, the country. That is the burden that we have in a democratic republic that we have. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't get out there and do the research and vote, and then wondering why things sometimes fall apart. So we have to get the information out there. And you mentioned earlier, because as we were talking to Jimmy Pereira, who's running for mayor in Brockton, the issue of the casino is not dead. And being Ward 2, the fairgrounds, most of it is in Ward 2, and you have the streets in that area, Thurber Ave,
the high school.
The high school. Mm-hmm. What happens if the gaming commission decides to allow a casino here, and enough of the councilors support it? How are you going to work with that, and work on the parking issue, the traffic issue? What are some of the ideas that you have if it does go through?
So the proponents of the casino had a lot of money. They were well organized, and there was a couple of organizations who were fighting the casino. It was David and Goliath, really, in terms of the financial comparisons of what we were up against. And I think it was still a victory. And because the people, even though they voted for it, there was still opposition because of the. I think the negative. We need something positive here in Brockton. Something that is uplifting. That that it's not contributing to the problems that may exist. So if we have a casino, we're gonna have late night drug dealing, prostitution, crime. People are gonna be giving up their mortgages to go play, at the casino. So to me, a lot of the things that move me is foundational morality, if you will. And so I think it's not just about money and generating revenue. We need it, and we need to find creative ways and great ways we absolutely need to be creative in that front. But I don't think the casino is an answer. So I would be opposed to that. And I know a lot of residents would, especially in Ward 2. There was a lot of opposition to that because it's the ward most affected. But Ed, on that note, I sort of, if I could, I just want to introduce Jean Belizaire, who's sitting here with us today. And Jean is my campaign manager. and I just wanted him to just introduce himself and say a couple of words to the audience.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. As Angel said, my name is Gene Belizaire, and I'm the campaign committee for his campaign manager for his campaign. My job is just basically to get the community to know him more as a person on a multiplicity of levels. Some people already know him as a community organizer. Some people know him as a school teacher. Some people know him as a father activist. And my job as campaign manager is just to get the community at large, especially in the section called Ward 2, to get to know him more as a person. And I'm really thankful to be here this afternoon on this radio show.
Welcome. Thank you, Gene. Thank you for coming on, and good luck to you. Being the campaign manager is not an easy job, because the avenues of getting information out there is very tight. Going back, Angel, one of the other big issues in Brockton is the Aquaria plant, because water is always an issue because you can't drink dirt. What is your issue with the Aquaria now? It's still up there. Now, have they the vote on the Aquaria issue? It was supposed to be done in May and got pushed to June and then July. And to be honest, I've been so busy at work, I haven't really been keeping up with it. Have they had the vote on the Aquaria plant? Because that's something you're going to have to deal with. And the other reason is, we're spending millions upon millions just to get water that we may not even use or need. Or the other issues is that we purchased the plant, which I think was $78 million, something like that.
Something astronomical, yeah.
Which you say is high, but if we take out a loan, we'll probably be paying just about the same amount, if not a little less. What is your opinion on that? Because that's an issue in every ward and everywhere in the city, is having potable water.
Yeah, so it's not a new issue. I remember when I was campaigning 2 years ago for a mayoral race. This was an issue at the time as well. I don't think that we should spend that amount of money, especially when there are so many documented needs and construction things that are faulty with the plant. I don't think we should be investing in that. And if we have that much money, right, if that much money is available via loans or whatever the case may be, then we need to get our priorities straight. And yes, we need water, but no one's going to go without water, and allocate some of that money to issues that really matter, like education. I believe, in my opinion, that education is the biggest issue right now that we're facing in Brockton. It's the future of our children. As a city councilor and being a teacher, I don't think we've ever had a teacher who's a city councilor, but I wouldn't be able to vote on educational matters. But the way that I sort of reconcile with that is I'm going to be working full-time as a teacher, inspiring my students, teaching my students, challenging my students, working with the administration with whatever needs that the educational, my role as an educator entails. And then as a city council, I'd be able to expand and get a little bit more broader on the issues such as the purchase of the plant and the other issues that need attention. So I just didn't want to be sort of boxed in as an educator. I love being a teacher, but there's so many other things that the city needs to address, and I just wanted to play a role, and I want to play a role in coming up with some solutions collectively, listening to the people, mobilizing people. My goal is to get people more active, more caring about the situations, and more vocal and more present, and that's what I intend to do.
Now, going back, just another quick question on the Aquaria plant, because the pro side of purchasing it is saying that we'd be spending less money than what we're spending now, and two, if we purchase it, we'll be able to sell it to other communities, which would also bring down the cost. Do you feel that is feasible? Or is that just a pie-in-the-sky issue that people are saying that may not happen?
Yeah, and this is one thing that I'm going to be really upfront about. When there's complex issues like that I don't know enough about, I can't comment on that. I have to do a lot more research. I literally made the announcement about a week ago to run. There are many issues in the city. I just don't want to make rash decisions or rash comments. I really need to study. I need to analyze the pros and cons, and I'm very open, to be honest with you. If I was to read thoroughly, hear the input from the constituents, from my fellow city councilors, then I can make an informed decision on the issue. I need to study it more. It warrants my attention. I will absolutely formulate an opinion, but it just seems from my initial instinct that if we have that much money available to us, we need to reprioritize and do something such as address the educational crisis that we're facing.
Well, we'll have you on again on that issue. I mean, it's still early in the election, and papers haven't even had to be turned in yet. That's August
26th.
26th. So
the last day to pick up's the 26th. I think
right.
they do the first.
Right.
The first.
So we'll have you on again. I mean, that's fine. There's just so much that happens in the city of Brockton. Believe me, people, you can't keep up with it. Another issue, because we were talking to Jimmy Pereira, who's running for the mayor, and Ward 2 is part of the city center. Their big issue in Brockton is making Main Street and Warren Ave a two-way road. Are you for or against that, and what is some of your ideas on that?
Yeah, I don't see why it shouldn't be a two-way road. It's sort of an inconvenience and congestion of traffic, given the one ways that we have in the city. I'd absolutely be open to two-way streets. The other thing is we really need to come together as a state delegation and a local delegation to revitalize downtown. I envision a downtown that is fun to go to, that is full of businesses, and why can't we have shops where people are eating outside? I know there's permit issues with things like that. Let's get around those things, and let's make Brockton prosperous and exciting and fun. We need things for the youth to do. I'm really excited that we're entertaining having a sports complex. It's going to keep kids engaged. I will say I heard a top administrator one time say on this issue of a movie theater. I think a movie theater would be great. Brockton used to have them. And the gentleman basically said, it's not going to produce revenue. It was all about producing revenue. And sometimes we get fixated on how much money it's going to bring into the city, not really thinking about the cost preventive nature of getting kids involved where they're not going to be in the streets if they have something productive to do. So I envision a downtown that is full of shops, that is full of the various cultures that we have, stores and foods. We're not there. We're not there, but it's not a matter of casting blame and fault. It's a matter of let's work together and make something beautiful happen for the city. I intend to do that. I know a lot of the candidates that are running intend to do that. And I think if we work together for the betterment of our people, we will get a lot of things like that done.
Now you mentioned restaurants that can seat outside. Have you thought of any ideas to be able to allow that? I think the main reason is it's just not enough room on the sidewalks to put tables and then people to get by.
Yeah.
So you have any ideas on how to get around that or change some way that you can get some tables that make it worthwhile? I mean, you can put one or two tables outside, but would it be worthwhile for the restaurant to do that? So do you have any ideas to work around the issue?
I'm not an engineer, but I go to Boston and I'm constantly impressed with the constant development that's going on in that city. I see a lot of storefronts like the ones that we're describing, and if it's an issue of space, I mean, I think we have to be strategically mindful of where the businesses are opening to allow for something like that. But there's got to be a way to work around that. I'm not sure what the zoning laws are, if it's an issue of simply just space. And if it's just space, then I think we need to just find locations that would be conducive to that. But it's just the aesthetically nice when you can have a meal outdoors. But it's not just that. It's creating more opportunities for people to open businesses in Brockton, too. And if people are opening businesses, they're going to want to live here. But they're not going to want to live here if our educational system is broken. And so I'm going back to that as an issue that we really need to fix. We can't keep laying off teachers year after year after year. And we have an issue of not having teachers of color that reflect Brockton. Everybody knows that from the top administration down. And what happens is you get a teacher of color into the system, and because they don't have the seniority, they're one of the first ones to go. It's a revolving door cycle. It's an injustice. I remember one of the clergy in Brockton said that to not have teachers of color is also a disservice to white children, because they don't get the exposure to the diversity as well. And it's an attempt not to exclude folks, but to really show the value of what it is, where different experiences, different upbringings, what they teach us. And in the end, at the end of the day, regardless of all of that, we are all human beings, and we need to love one another and build one another up. I intend to bring morality and the greater good of all into politics. And I know it's not typical for that to be done. I don't have the magic bullet for that, but I know that a lot of the candidates that are running really want the greater good of the people to be at the forefront.
Okay, we're going to be right back. We're just going to a couple of quick breaks. Angel, I want to come back and ask you some of the things you said about the school system and the city center. We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Stand Up Strong with Ed and Chuck. We have Angel Cosme, candidate for Ward 2 Council in the city of Brockton. We'll be right back after this.
WVBF Talk Radio.
Do you have cast iron furniture, metal fences, or custom-made aluminum furniture that is still usable but needs a little TLC and extra care? Then you need someone with a great reputation in over 32 years in the welding business. You need All Weather Welding Company. Based out of Southeastern, Peter Michelson of All Weather Welding Company has the know-how and has worked on projects such as the Pavilion in Boston, the Dunkin' Donuts Warehouse, the Food Service Cisco, the Xfinity Performing Arts Center, as well as local businesses and homes throughout the South Shore. They specialize in rims, chairs, custom-made aluminum furniture, metal gates, window grates, and so much more. All Weather Welding Company is the only certified portable welding service that is advertised in this area. No job is too small, and all his work is guaranteed. If you think it's broken, call All Weather Welding Company at 508-238-8595. That's 508-238-8595. Mention this ad and receive a free welding rod.
Hi, this is Chuck.
And this is Ed from Stand Up Strong.
Listen to us every Saturday at 3 o'clock on 1530 WVBF, where you can learn about
events in Brockton and the South Shore.
Listen while you're grilling up something for dinner or lounging by the pool.
Hey, send me your telephone number and I'll give you a call. Hey, what are friends for, you know?
Catch us every Saturday at 3 p.m. That's daylight savings time for all you who don't know. Only on WVBF 1530.
Considering building a new home, adding an addition, or renovating your existing house? BTA Building and Remodeling of Abington can save you time, money, and frustration. BTA is a team of highly skilled professionals who understand just how important your project is to you. From site-built homes, custom modular homes, to in-law suites and additions, they'll treat your project with the time and effort it takes to do the job right. Before you choose a builder, you owe it to yourself to visit btadevelopment.com and learn more.
Hi, this is Jim Larkin. Hope you can join me every Sunday from noon to 2 o'clock here on WVBF, the Sounds of the Emerald Isle. We'll have some great Irish music, some folk, traditional, country, and contemporary, and sometimes some live singers in the studio. And to make you laugh, some Irish comedy. That's Sundays from noon to 2 right here on WVBF 1530 Taunton, Middleborough, and on the internet at hometowntalkradio.com.
Okay, we're back. You're listening to Stand Up Strong with Ed and Chuck. We have Angel Cosme here, running for Ward 2 Council in the city of Brockton. Angel, you mentioned something that kind of piqued my curiosity. Now, of course, we have a diverse city, and we need a diverse teaching staff. That I don't think anybody would argue. But the thing is what do you do? Because a lot of time it's last hired, first fired. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of teachers who've been in the school system 10, 20, even 30 years. How do you get around that without letting someone go who has put in time to someone who hasn't put in, no fault of their own, it's just when they were hired and because being a lot younger. How do you get around that without, losing teachers who have the experience of years?
Yeah. It's a hard question, but a good question, Ed. I'm absolutely for my colleagues, teachers. Unless you're in the classroom or if you have any experience teaching, it's emotionally, physically, spiritually draining in a lot of ways. When you are responsible for another person's education and well-being. For that many hours of the day, it really takes its toll on you if you are really invested and if you truly care. So if a teacher has been in the system for X amount of years and has earned, their longevity and their pay and their benefits, I'm all for that. They deserve that. They deserve more than that. But I think at the same time, we need to work with the unions and come up with a way that it's also based on merit. It's also based on how effective you are as a teacher. It's based on how the students have what they've learned from the teacher. What are they getting that is beneficial to their life? Are they becoming productive citizens? So we need to measure that somehow. There's teachers, unfortunately, Ed, I hate to say this as well, that have been in the system for 20, 30 years and could care less about teaching. They're in the classroom, they're getting a really good salary, they're not invested at all. And so that's a problem. So how do we fix that? We need to get rid of those teachers. I hate to say that. There's not many, though, in the system, but they do exist. My students tell me all the time, I'm sure they can call in and tell you stories of teachers that they believe are not really vested in the education of their students. They're simply there to collect a check. So how do we fix that? I think we need to go back to a combination of merit measures. I mean, we have those, but really student-focused. And then also at the same time, we do need to continue to value the efforts and the years that the teachers put in. I'm all for, teachers getting those protections, but at the same time, the teachers that are good and bring the energy and the zeal and the new ideas into teaching are the ones that don't stay because of that very fact.
Mm-hmm. Now, earlier you mentioned, and we were talking to Jimmy Pereira about beautifying the city, especially the city center, because that is going to attract people to move into Brockton, and also, just you make it look better. What are some of your ideas? Because again, part of the city center is part of Ward 2. What are some of your ideas to get the people who own the businesses, not the ones who rent the businesses, but own the buildings, especially if you look on Main Street and Legion Parkway, part of Center Street? I mean, the buildings look like they're 50 years. Well, look like they haven't done any work for 50 years, let alone you're talking about buildings that are 70, 80, 90 years old. And what are some of your ideas on that to get the city? Because as I mentioned with Jimmy, in the 80s, Jamaica Plain did that, and they were able to get the business owners. And Hingham did that in the 90s, where if you drive now through both those areas, they still look very, very nice. And that's what people see, and it does affect their outlook on those areas. So what are some of your ideas that we can start making Brockton look a little more modern and a little more pretty?
Yeah, I've always said, first of all, Brockton is a beautiful place. It has beautiful people, and yet at the same time, we have a stigma that's attached to us. And what we need to do is capitalize on the many good individuals, hardworking people who care deeply about Brockton, and create a sort of a campaign to refresh the image of Brockton. I'm talking about billboards, highlighting the rich history of Brockton. Why don't we have the opportunity to I think we also need to clean up our parks. We have some great parks in the city, and there's some parks that are neglected. I'm very pleased to see that the Ash Street Park is going to get some attention. If we invest in our parks, if we create more green spaces, people are going to want to live in the city. I'm thinking a very strategic campaign. BCA, the cable channel can advertise the good that is in Brockton, and that way we start to change the perception and the stigma of our beautiful city. But our beauty is in our people and the many advocates that love calling Brockton their home.
And what are you going to do about the absentee landlord issue? If you go around to a lot of these houses, as I'm saying this, I got to do my own lawn, but where the lawns aren't taken care of, there's trash all over the place, and because, they're still renting them out and the trash is getting put out, it gets all over the street. You can go to some of these main streets and side streets and just see garbage all over the place and nothing done about it.
Yeah.
What are some of the issues of that? Because if you bring it up and say, people, we can fine someone, giving them a fine for not, picking up the garbage, or, have the health community look at that and write something up. But no, they don't do that because they don't want to piss off the person who's paying the taxes on those homes. So what are some of your issues of getting the trash picked up? Because as much as it's great that we beautify Brockton one day out of the year, we have 364 and a quarter other days that no one's doing anything about it.
Yeah. I would respectfully challenge that that no one's doing anything about it. I almost feel that there's so many groups that take it upon themselves to clean Brockton. We do have the yearly cleanup event, but then there's organizations like Helping to Unite Brockton, the cleanup crew. I know that individuals like John Hayes is constantly cleaning up various parts of the city. In fact, he identified a church in Ward 2 that needs some help, that needs some fixing, the steps, and was able to find someone who's going to donate the materials, and some community members are going to come together and put in the time to fix it. At the end of the day, right, we can't rely on individuals should be responsible for their own. Landlords should be responsible for their upkeep of their buildings, and if not, they should be. I think that there should be absolutely fines, but also enforcement on those issues. But shout out to also another individual who's been doing a lot of cleaning, who's also a candidate for mayor, is Bradley Sufan. He posted a couple of times, just him and a couple of individuals and young people and young adults were cleaning High Street a couple of nights ago, and they did that several weeks ago. So again, my point is that the community should come together and address this issue when there's issues of landlords or the city not stepping up. I mean, I was mowing the grass at the Ash Street Park along with Jimmy Perea, who's a candidate for mayor. And I love doing that. It's helpful, but why are citizens mowing the grass for a park that belongs to the city? Mm-hmm. Well, because we want to step up. It ain't getting done. Why isn't it getting done? I don't have all of those answers. But again, we need to whenever we think that government officials, elected officials, are solely responsible for our well-being, we're mistaken. The community grassroots level historically has always mobilized to force changes upon society. Frederick Douglass said, "Power concedes nothing without consent," and so we have to, without demand, and so we have to demand these changes. And sometimes when it's not getting done, we need to step up and demand that it does. And I see a lot of community members sort of doing that. But at the end of the day, really, how do you convince someone to take care of their own property? They should already be doing that. And when they're not doing that, there should be responsibilities such as fines, and the city should be enforcing that.
Okay, so we got just about a minute left. If you want to tell us again why you're running and why people should elect you, and any information where they can find out more about you.
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity to be here on the Ed and Chuck show here. My name is Angel Cosme. I'm running for Ward 2 City Councilor. I am a father. I am a teacher. I am a former clinician. I am a former community organizer. I'm a longtime activist. I love Brockton. I'm going to work hard and relentless. I'm going to be visible. I'm going to listen. And I'm going to expect you to hold me accountable. I know that if I am the candidate of choice, that I'm going to live and breathe trying to rectify the things that are wrong in Brockton. And I don't have the magic bullet. I don't have the magic answers. But I'm all about community and working together to get things done. I ask for your vote. I know that I'm qualified. And it's going to be an interesting election. Thank you for having me today.
No, thank you for coming on, Angel. You listen to Stand Up Strong today with Ed and Chuck. We thank our guest, Angel Cosme and Jimmy Pereira. Tune in next week. We'll be back, and hopefully it'll be another beautiful Stand Up Strong Saturday. I'm Ed Miller.
And I'm Chuck Blanchett.
And we'll talk to you next week.
You are listening to the voice of Southeastern Massachusetts for local news, sports, and weather. AM 1530, WVBF, Middleborough, Taunton.